Welcome, everyone. We appreciate you jumping into another edition of ProspectsHI podcast with us. My name is Coach Lee Lamb, and I'm joined with co-host Gino Hawkins today. And we have a special guest from Iolani today, Megan Nishimura. She is a 2021 grad. She's the libero at Iolani School. She plays club at Ka Ulukoa, and she has committed to the University of Pacific. How you doing today, Meg?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, thank you. What happened today? Anything good today?
No, mainly just homework, honestly. Yeah.
Homework. How's that load? Now, going to Iolani, I hear they got homework over there. So.
Oh yeah, it's no joke, but it's a little bit easier, I guess, having school online right now, but still a lot.
Yeah. Easier. All right, hold on. Now, this wasn't part of the talk, but how is it easier being online?
I think that just having more time, if that makes sense. Like, usually when I'm at school, like those free periods and stuff, it's not all productive, but being at home, I can be a little more productive.
Right.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean by productive. So there's no friends to talk to. There's no boys. There's no, okay, I got it. All right. There's no cell phone. All right. Tracking. So for all those viewers and listeners out there, online equals more productivity. I got it.
Better time management. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. It seems like that could work against you though a little bit. Like if you're not a disciplined person and being at home, like that could be not a good thing either. So
oh no, yeah.
I could see it working both ways.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, all right, enough about the homework. I'm sure we'll get into more of that later. But so I just want people to be able to know just a little bit more about you. So just introduce yourself. Well, I introduced you. So maybe just talk about your family a little bit, and mom, dad, any siblings, those types of things.
Yeah, so my mom's name is Lori, and she works for the state. My dad's name is Wade, and he works in advertising. I have a younger brother who's a sophomore this year. He goes to lab school. His name is Brady. And then I have a lot of pets. I have a dog. I have a chicken, some fish, and a few cats. Yeah.
What kind of dog do you have?
He's like a Shih Tzu poodle mix. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So a little dog.
I don't know about little though. Like he's a little overweight, I guess you could say. but
what are you guys feeding that thing?
Right. he's taken care of. He's taking care of that dog.
He's solid.
Yeah. An older dog, younger dog. Now it sounds like a dog with a few years on it.
Yeah, I think 5 or 6.
So yeah. Where you're at Iolani now, but where did you go to school prior to Iolani?
Yeah, so I started elementary school at Hokulani, which is like just down the street from my house, literally like a 3-minute walk. And then for middle school, I went to University Lab, and then I've been at Iolani since freshman year.
Since freshman year. And Hokulani, where is that? Is that in like Manoa, or where is that exactly?
It's right next to UH, so just outside of Manoa. I would say it's between like Manoa and Kaimaki.
Okay. Right on. Okay. Awesome. So, and then so you were at UH Lab with your brother. Now, what's the deal? You went to Iolani and your brother didn't go to Iolani? What's going on over there? How we make the transition to Iolani?
Yeah, funny story actually. I thought that I was going to be graduating from UH Lab. Like I was pretty set on that. And then my dad kind of just says like, oh, hey, I applied you to Iolani, go for the interview. If you get in, good. If not, it's totally cool. And I got in. So yeah, now I'm at Iolani.
So you were just kind of basically notified that you were going to go to Iolani. There doesn't sound like there was any discussion. Is that true or not?
It was pretty out of the blue, honestly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, was that mom and dad? They had a discussion and just left Megan out of the discussion, or dad pulling triggers on his own? I'm going to get dad in trouble right now.
Honestly, I think it was. Yeah, I have no idea.
You didn't ask that question.
Yeah.
I think Dad was doing his job. He was advertising, so it makes much sense. He was advertising his daughter to Iolani, so she could just get in there and do great things later. So
I like that.
That's exciting.
Too funny. Too funny. So did you guys apply to any other schools or no? It's just Iolani.
Yeah, just Iolani.
Iolani or bust. That's it. You're graduating from University Lab School.
Yes.
Right on. I just want to talk to you about the transition a little bit. So kind of break it up into a couple parts for everybody. So just the transition from like a new student, like in peer relation perspective, how was that transition for you? Like you're basically going from a place where you have friends to a place where you're kind of the new student and you don't really know anybody.
Definitely. Yeah, it's tough, But I think that, so the year that I went in, I believe they brought in 50 students that year, my freshman year. But still, like, to go from a school where you have, like, so many friends to a school where it's, like, you're pretty much new, it was definitely hard. I did have a few friends, though, from, like, volleyball that already went to Iolani, so that was a little bit, made it easier. And it also helped, though, I think that people kind of associated me with the volleyball team at that time when I was entering school, so then it helped me gain more friends, too.
Yeah, it seems like it's really helpful when you're involved in sports and you're making a transition. I don't know. I tend to think that that's one of the best things about making a transition from high school to college is like you're already part of a community. You might not know that community, but you're getting plugged in right away. You don't have the disadvantage of no community and just trying to find your way right out of the gate. You have a small community right away. So sports is awesome like that. So what about the transition academically?
Oh yeah, I think that Iolani is known in Hawaii to be having to have one of like the biggest workloads, I would say, and they live up to it. I think that they say that like your average class you should be spending like 40 minutes, I think, on homework. That's for one class, and you have like 6 classes a day. So it was definitely tough, especially my freshman year coming in, because on top of homework, I also had to go to like volleyball practices and stuff. And so I didn't have as much time as I guess a regular freshman would have to do homework and like get used to the progress. But over time, though, I think it's gotten easier, and it definitely helps with like time management. So yeah.
Yeah. And does the school help, like, do they help you with that type of thing, like time management? Is there like any support in that sense? Or is that something you learn on your own?
Yeah, I feel like it's more on your own.
All right. So from an academic standpoint, a new student, like, are the teachers pretty supportive over there? Like,
oh no, yeah. Teachers are great over there. They'll like make time out of their day to help you. It's like the doors are always open for you to go in for extra help, and like everyone's holding each other accountable too. So it's good.
So I worked over there from like 2004 to 2006 as a coach. At least I think that's when it was. But at the time, I seem to remember athletes saying that the staff kind of went out of their way to like make sure that you were getting the support you need. So it wasn't like, at some schools, you really have to chase down the help if you need it. But the feedback I was getting at Iolani wasn't like that. Is that still true? Like the teachers kind of reach out to you, or do you have to seek out support if you need it?
I think it's a little bit of both. Depending on what kind of student you are, I think, yeah, it will depend on that.
So now we need to talk about the athletic transition here a little bit.
Yeah.
So you're going from University Lab School, which is the D2 program, and then you're going straight to the 2016 Division I state championship. So what was that jump like?
No, yeah, just even in general, going from like intermediate to varsity, that's like a huge jump right there. And then on top of that, to go from like a program like Lab School to a program like Iolani, they're a lot more, I guess, established and disciplined, I guess you could say. And it was definitely tough in the beginning, playing with girls that have such like a high level of play, super high volleyball IQ, and me just being like a freshman who just finished intermediate ball for like a Division II school. It was definitely tough.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even think about that, but you're 100%, man, going from a D2 division, intermediate level program to, yeah, that's a jump. So, but you kind of, I want you to talk a little bit about redshirt, just so the listeners and viewers can understand a little bit about that. So in the ILH, if you transition from one ILH school to the other, you have to redshirt. So talk a little bit about what that is and what that experience was like for you.
Yeah, it's like you just mentioned, I played volleyball my intermediate year, my 8th grade year at lab school, and so they have a rule where if you switch schools and you played the previous year, you're required to sit out a year. And so even if it was from like intermediate to high school, I was still required to sit out. So my freshman year, I wasn't able to play volleyball, but I was able to redshirt the varsity team. And basically, I was able to practice with them. I just couldn't play in like any of the scrimmages or any of their games.
Now, just because you redshirt doesn't mean that you get to participate with the varsity team, right? So how was that connection made? Did you have was there a tryout, and you went to the tryout and just explained that your income? I'm sure he knew that you were incoming freshman and you had the red shirt, but like how did that transpire? How do you get on the varsity squad?
Yeah, I think it started with like summer practices and stuff, and then just getting into the gym early with them, and yeah, I guess showcasing my talent there. And then I did go to the tryout, I believe, but then it was more so just trying out to be a practice player, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, 100% for sure. So, and you talked briefly about their summer program, and I know what it was like when I was there, but that's been forever ago now. So is that still big for them? Like, is there still a lot of kids that participate in the summer program for them?
Oh yeah. It's they bring out a lot of girls.
All right. So, and you come in as a freshman on that team. Who's on that squad?
Yeah. So we only had one senior that year, my freshman year, and it was Sage Ka Ulukoa. She's a setter right now at Utah.
Got it.
And then they were pretty junior heavy though that year.
And then who made up that junior class? Like, was that Bailey Choi and?
Oh no, it was after her. So the junior class.
Bailey had graduated already. Is that it?
Yeah, the previous year. Before I got there.
Got it.
Yeah, that junior class. It was Kristen McDaniel. She's a setter right now at NC State. Grace Wee at BYU. Nia Dong she's at Utah right now, and then Izzy Sakota.
Yep.
She's actually at Claremont McKenna, and she's playing volleyball for them. And Sasha Petticord, and I believe she medically retired though. She was at UC Davis.
Got it. Anybody who follows volleyball like we do, those kids are having impacts on their programs. Like everywhere they go, the kids are having an impact. So it speaks volumes about Iolani and Kai Noah and the kids that come through the Iolani program. So who was the leadership? What was the leadership on that team? Like, who was it?
It was Sage that freshman year.
Sage. That's a wrap. It was Sage and right. And there's
no debate. No debate. It was Sage. I like it.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. And then what kind of impact did she have on, like, I want to say the team, but I'm more interested, like, does she have an impact on you?
Yeah, I know. She's an insane competitor. Like, everything she does, it's super competitive. She loves playing at the high level. I think, like, her attitude towards the game definitely showed in the gym, and it kind of, I guess, went off to everyone else, too. So, yeah, I think that from her, I learned, like, just to have that super competitive spirit. And it was a really good first-year experience to have her as a leader.
Got it. So you guys make it to the finals in 2017, but you get swept by Kamehameha, Kapalama. What was the team's mindset after the loss?
I think it was definitely a tough loss. I'm not sure if, we always expect to win. So when you don't win in that big game like that, it's definitely tough. But it was just to come back the next season, grind, get there again, and ultimately did that, which was great. Yeah.
I always am curious about the mindset in those situations because Les Jardins, that was the year that we lost to HBA. Like, we made it to the Division II final that year, and we lost to HBA. We got swept. The moment was just much too big for us, in my opinion. But I can tell you that as soon as we walked off the court, it was stated emphatically that we were going to get back and win the championship the following year. So, and they did. I mean, our group, they just kind of rallied and got the job done. So I'm always curious, like, is that typical? I mean, because not everybody gets into that situation. Not everybody can lose in a final, right? So I'm always interested in the mindset when teams face that situation. Was it definitive for you guys? Was it Was that like a group discussion, or is it just a general feeling that you guys have?
I think it's general feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, right on. So 2018 comes. What's your role on the team?
Yeah. So this is the year where I actually get to play. I don't have to register anymore.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah. But then they had Naya and Grace as their libs and DSs already. So I wasn't at their level yet, I think. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And so it was more so of me just learning from them and also being able to push them in practices.
So now Gracie Wee, who goes on to BYU, and Naya Dong, who goes on to Utah, they had pretty much been liberos, right? I mean, that was kind of like their thing from beginning to end. Well, almost beginning to end. So now, but you, on the other hand, that wasn't always your role. Is that right? Like, is this, if memory serves me correctly, this is when you start to kind of like lock into the libero position. Is that my memory good or no?
Yeah, I think it's around that year. I know that the previous year I was playing outside a lot for club, and also I guess for school they kind of considered me more as an outside than a DS. And even like that sophomore year, like on the roster I was listed as outside hitter / DS, you know. I think that was the year where I was getting more into just playing back row. Yeah.
Got it. So what, like, did Kainoa just push you into that role, or is that something that just happened organically, or is that something you requested? Like, how does that shape up? How did you move from the outside hitter position to more of a libero role?
I think going into my junior year was more of like an organically, I guess you could say, because we just lost the 2 DSs the previous year, and then they needed someone to step into that libero role. And I had experience from club I was playing lib for at least 1 year previously, and so just having that experience, I just kind of stepped right into it.
Got it. What for the club side of things, was that a conscious decision on your part, or is that just where the chips fell for club?
I think it was more where the chips fell.
Yeah,
honestly.
this is what the team needs, and yeah, right on. Makes complete sense. So what was it like being in the gym with Gracie and, I shouldn't call her Gracie, Grace and Naya? What's it like being in the gym with them?
Oh, it's awesome. They're so good. Like both of them, they're like A and B. It's like, they're crazy. Just learning from, just like watching them, you're learning so much, and they're super encouraging too. You know, I never really felt like not in the right place when I was with them, if that makes sense. Like they were always super encouraging, super nice, even like off the court too. Like when I just seen them across the halls or in classes, you know, amazing people and athletes.
Yeah. And I noticed, you know, you said earlier that you pushed them, you know, in those practices. So I guess that's kind of a recipe for success, right? You're at I don't want to say lower end of that spectrum, but you know, you're coming in, you see these two, you know, top-notch players, and you know, you're battling it out. So I like how you put that earlier. You know, you push them in practice, and then you know, you don't feel out of place. So you know, they're encouraging you. You know, I could just see that as, you know, a huge reason why you guys are successful with that type of leadership. You know, in that spot. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's good stuff.
It's definitely a recipe for success when you have a culture or an environment like that. It was Courtney Thompson was the setter at UW, right?
Yes.
Is that right? Yes. So when we had another Hawaii athlete that went to school there, Tama Miyashiro. Now Tama ended up being the libero, but at the time she was a setter. And I don't know if it was her freshman year, her junior year, or whatever it was. And then UW ended up winning the national championship that year. And one of Courtney's comments was that it was such a benefit to have somebody like Tama in the gym pushing on her every day. Like it really elevated her game, and she felt like Tama was as responsible as anything else for her success that year. So do you have a lot of that going on at Iolani? Do you feel like that's really part of the culture?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's awesome. And do you feel like that's always been there, or is that pretty much Kainoa driven? Like, you know, because some things stay in place when coaches come in, like there's a culture already that exist, and then we just kind of adapt to the culture as coaches, and then add our own little flavor to it? Or, I mean, that may be too. He's been there for a while, so
Yeah.
you may not know
I
the
think
answer.
it's a little bit too ahead of my time for me to make a comment on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. I think culture is so interesting because it makes for championship teams for sure. It can certainly make or break you. All right. So you guys make it to the final in 2018. Role reverse here from the previous year. You guys sweep Kamehameha, and it was an absolutely amazing match. You guys played out of your minds that year. 2019 comes, and there's a format change in the ILH. Now, I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but the ILH Division One used to just consist of maybe like 5 teams. You guys played each other what seemed like 10 times, but I think it was like you played each team 2 or 3 times. And it was just like a slugfest for every match, you know. So, and the way that it's set up for the state tournament is only the top 2 teams from the ILH could make it, and it's all ratio based. I won't bore people with that aspect of it, but only 2 go from the Division One. So they make a change in the format where we have these quads. We have 2 quads of 4 in Division One. So, and now the ILH can take 3 teams from the Division One because the ratio is enough to allow us to get 3 teams into the state tournament. However, I would say that you guys did not benefit. Like Punahou, Kamehameha, and Iolani did not benefit from this format because you basically get plugged right back into the same format where only 2 teams can make it out of a quadrant, and you guys are all in the same quadrant. So they have it set up where the winner of each quadrant, they get to go to the state tournament, they secure a berth, and then you have to play off basically to see who's gonna get that last spot, the 3rd spot.
Yeah.
How was that for you guys? Like, did you guys have a feeling about it going into it, or it was just, it's business as usual, it doesn't even matter?
Yeah, I think it was more of it's business. It's just like the usual thing, you know, just take it as a regular game. It's nothing to worry about. It's nothing really special. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's a good mindset, right? Business as usual. Now you're going into this format, but you're missing something. You're missing a key component to that success. You know, Lena Ogilvie, she's going on to play the Team USA 18U. She ends up winning the gold medal. She misses a ton of games, and you guys are like, wait, what's going on? One of our leaders is gone, if not the leader. What's the mindset on the team? Like, what's everybody thinking?
Oh, yeah, we knew about it though, like going into the season that she was going to go off to play in Cairo, and we're like super stoked for her. Like, that was amazing. It's such a great opportunity to represent like not only Hawaii but also Iolani too. That was crazy.
Yes.
But I think that it was difficult. You know, she's definitely our best player by far, and the impact that she has on the team is further than just her play. It's also her composure too, and just her volleyball IQ. It's super high. She makes those around her like definitely better. But I think that going into the games without her, it was just more so of getting the younger girls a chance to step up, and even like I guess the players who've been on the team too, to just step up into their roles and, you know, try to fill their spots. And we weren't that successful, I guess you could say, as we didn't win as many games, but it was a good learning experience, I think, just to practice like not having that key player on your team and seeing how we would do without her.
How many seniors did you guys have on your team this past year?
I think 5.
5.
Around 5, I think.
How many of them were starters?
Mm.
Well, let me rephrase it for you. You guys basically have a young team.
Yeah.
Moving forward, right, after last year. So in that sense, you think it was beneficial? Like, you think that kind of, it ended up being, it may have hurt a little bit at the time, but you think maybe it benefited you over the long haul? It's to be seen, right? Like, we don't know if we're going to have a season or not, but do you think that helped, like, moving forward into 2020?
Yeah, I think it helped in not like a big major way, but I think it did help. Yeah.
Seems just like to be able to get some experience for those athletes that maybe weren't getting time in those scenarios. It seems like the ball would have been distributed a little bit more. I mean, you have a stud like Iolani swinging, so everybody knows that she got a majority of the balls when she was on the court. So it seems like it's such a vast change to the system that's in place, and just a lot of opportunity for younger athletes to get some experience in bigger matches. So you guys still beat LJA even without Iolani. Anyway, moving on. I'm not bitter or anything, Meg. Yeah, so I don't know, like, so it was business as usual going into the new format. Did that change? Because you guys, I mean, you guys had a great last match for the season. You didn't make the state tournament. That was a 5-setter, right?
Yeah.
And you guys played Kamehameha? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Was the final match?
Yeah, at their place.
Yeah, yeah. So, yes, because Punahou had secured earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Did it change at all? Was there any bitterness towards the format afterwards? Or no, it was just, hey, it is what it is, moving on?
Following the match?
Yeah.
I think.
Or even going into the match, was there any like, frick this format? Like,
I think that there probably was a little bitterness, you know, just as like the immediate afterthought of losing. It's like, hey, if we had a different format, maybe we would have made it instead. But then at the end of the day, it was more so like we had our chances, you know, we could have won that game. We could have won games before, and it was pretty much, we had like an equal chance with everyone else to get into the state tournament, and we just didn't that year. So can't really get mad at the system. It's more so of holding ourselves accountable for it.
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And that seems right. You know, teams that are successful usually have that type of mindset where, you know, you're not going to play the blame game. You're just going to hold yourselves accountable and move forward on the thing. So it doesn't surprise me at all for you guys. So, all right, we don't know what's going to happen this season, right? It's been pushed back to at least spring. It may or may not happen. I know that the ADs have been working like crazy to try and figure out whether they can make something happen, but they're hostage to the government policies and stuff. But if the season does happen, who are the leaders on your team this year? And then what's your role?
Yeah, I think that just by seniority, I would say the seniors are the leaders on our team. You know, we have the most experience being on the team. I think all 4 of us have been on the team since our freshman year. So, you know, we kind of know the system better than the other players. And then also Mokihana Tufono, she's like a leader on her own. Like even coming in as a freshman, you could tell that she had like those leadership qualities about her. She's super vocal, and it's like she's the kind of leader that you need like on the court at all times, and she brings that for us.
Yeah, she's got great command.
Yeah, Moki's solid. I think, and I had the pleasure of being around her a lot, you know, and some of the coaching experiences I had. And, yeah, she just definitely gives off a great signal of, you know, competitiveness, you know, and I think, you know, the team could really build around that. So I can see how that can help you guys moving into the season if we get to play. So that's, you know, kudos to her. And I think it's a major shout out coming from you know, upperclassman. So that's awesome.
Sure. Do you think she's a little Sage-esque? Like, you think she's?
She's actually the same number as Sage.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Maybe that says it all. I don't know.
There you go. Comparison, got it.
All right.
Yeah.
You think they have like similar qualities though? Like.
Yeah, I would say so, but at the same time, she's also her own person too. Like,
yeah.
I think that she maybe is a little bit more vocal than Sage in some ways, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely similar though.
That's awesome. And so you said 4 seniors. You're one of them. Who are the other 3 seniors on the squad this year?
Becca Sakota, and Cam Nagaji, and Lily Wahimini Kapu.
Well, I'm hoping the season happens because I'm interested to see how it all shakes out. And there's a lot of questions moving into 2020 if it does happen, just from a formatting and the state of the teams. And man, it's going to be a mess. But I'm really hoping, just for you guys' sake, just for the seniors' sake, I really hope that the season happens. There's a lot of great players graduating in this particular class, and it would be a shame for them not to have an opportunity. So I'm pulling for you, Meg. I'm pulling for you. So before we wrap up the high school discussion, though, I'm gonna put you on the spot. What's it like playing for Kainoa?
Oh yeah, he's definitely demanding.
Yeah.
Very demanding coach, but he's insane. Like, he's such a great coach. He really like knows his stuff, and the coaches that he has around him too, that he brings on with him, they're great too. Like, the whole volleyball coaching system at Iolani is like, they're just, yeah, they're everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like he's done a good job with the system.
Yeah.
Like, just making sure from top to bottom, everybody's in the right spots from a coaching staff standpoint, and then it all leads up to the success he's having at the varsity level. I got a lot of respect for him, man. He's done great work over there at Iolani, and I think people were surprised in 2015 or 16 or whatever it was when they won the state championship. And I know as a coach, I was surprised that they had gotten it done. So did they go the year before that? Was it 2015? Coach, help me out. You're the historian here.
I cannot remember the year, but it sounds about right. I'm trying to track my history of kind of when I started digging all into this. So that sounds about right. 14 or 15. But you know what? Google it. If you're watching out there,
That's right.
Google it.
That's right.
Go to scoringlive.com, check it out, or phone a friend. I think we're okay. I think everybody gets the gist of it.
Everybody has a historian at their disposal. It's called Google.
Yes.
So funny. Hey, so all right, we're gonna break away, and I just briefly I want to give some love to the club side of things, because I know it's an instrumental part in a lot of the development aspect for the players in Hawaii. But I just wanted you to tell us in general about your volleyball journey. Like, where did you start and the progressions, and just maybe talk about some of the teams and the coaches you had over the years.
Yeah, so I started playing volleyball, I think it was around 3rd grade or so, and it was for this I guess club. It was sort of like a club. It was called MGAC, Manoa Girls Athletic Club, and it took place at Manoa Gym, and it was basically PAL League though. So a lot of like really young girls and coaches, and it's more so introducing them to the sport, I think, as opposed to really competing. So that started off, and then from there, I played for. I think SAS had some sort of league too that they had, so I was a part of that.
All right.
And then my 12s year, which was the first year that I played club, it was for SAS's first 12s team, and I played club for Dao Tamashiro. That was my coach.
Right on. He's the assistant coach for Kamehameha.
Yes.
Those that want to follow along.
And then my 13s year, I played with Dave Stamp. And then my 14s year, I transitioned to Koa, and I've been there ever since with Coach Larry.
You got stuck. All right. I'm just giving you a hard time. Does Coach Dave, does he coach at the high school?
Yes.
He does? He coaches at the high school?
Yeah, he's that mid-pack. He's the boys' head coach.
He's on the boys' side.
Yes.
Right on. Just not following the high school scene on the boys' side as much. So that's awesome. Good. All right. So, man, you had some really good coaches over the year. You got Coach Larry, you got Coach Kainoa, you got Coach Daryl, Coach Dave. Any takeaways from any of those coaches? Like, any takeaway that really stands out to you?
I don't know. I think each of the coaches were like different in their own way, you know. I think Coach Larry is definitely one of the more mellow coaches that I've had, as opposed to Coach Kainoa. I think the main takeaways from them are just to be like super competitive always, and just always have like that winning spirit and always 110%. Yeah.
You think that was a common thread between all the coaches that you had? Like,
yeah, I think more so as I got older too. In the beginning, like 12 year, maybe it wasn't as much, just because it's super early still in your volleyball career. But definitely as I got older, yeah.
Yeah, the nature of 12s. Yeah, we're not trying to go crazy at 12 years old. Cool. So I just want to jump into kind of the recruiting process just a little bit and just talk about your journey there. I do want to spend a little bit more time here. So when did you get started on the recruiting process?
Yeah, I think it was a sophomore year, maybe going into my sophomore year was when I first started, I think. Yeah, and it was more so in the beginning, it was a lot of just mass emails, if I'm being honest, like having like a set of words to say and then just changing the coaches' names and just sending it out to like as many coaches as I could. And that was the beginning of it. And it like slowly progressed to more sending it out to specific schools depending on like if they had my major and like if I was like actually interested in going to the school itself or if they're like gonna be at tournaments that I was playing in. And then yeah, from there I was talking to a few schools and then eventually I committed. And that's like the big overview of it, I would say. Yeah. Really broad.
That's all right. Broad strokes is good. Broad strokes is good.
That's how it happens. That quick, that fast.
Yeah. It probably doesn't seem like it, but yeah. So when you start first, we call it casting a wide net.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're casting a wide net, you're emailing a bunch of programs. Like, how do you even determine what schools to try and contact? I mean, do you go to the NCAA and pull up a list of schools and go, oh yeah, I'll email these 50 schools or I'll email these conferences, or like, how did that transpire?
Yeah, I think it was actually kind of like that, I think, honestly. My dad printed out like all like the schools in like every division and we were just going through them and be like, oh yeah, I recognize this school's name, so I'll highlight it and then I'll just yeah, but to be honest, pretty much.
Was there any rhyme or reason? Like, were you drawn to like specific conferences, or no, you're just like random sampling a bunch of different schools? Or
in the beginning, I think it was like West Coast, like I want to get on the West Coast. But then a little bit later, it was like, okay, maybe I should also open up to East Coast too. You know, you want to just cast like a super wide net, and so it wasn't really any school in particular. I think any type of schools in particular. Yeah.
So they looked at the list and saw Stanford, check, highlight. They saw all these other schools, check, highlight. And then they went back through it and said, "Oh, that sounds good. Okay, highlight. Got it. I understand now." So for those of you listening, grab the list and just start highlighting.
Exactly. It's it. Yeah. Anyway, that could go. That you trying to take me down a rabbit hole, but you know.
No, not at all.
Yeah, get me started on a topic that we're not talking about here. Too funny. So, hey, you said you started as a sophomore, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that was too late, or you felt like it was good for you? Like,
I think for me personally, it was okay. But I do think that if I were to go back, I probably would have started my freshman year just because I had the resources my freshman year. I just chose not to use them. I think that when I joined KOA, you guys had sports recruits. And even though I had access to my freshman year, we were like, it's okay, we'll just wait till you're a little bit older. I think too, though, I was still debating whether I wanted to play in college or not. And so I think that it was more so going into my sophomore year where I was more certain of like, okay, this is something I want to do. And so I was able to pursue it more.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I think people kind of fall into this two modes. One, not sure if you want to play, so why do the work if I'm not sure that I want to play? And the other one is that I have time. And I don't know. I can't really speak into the not certain. Like for me, it seems like it would be smart just to do a little bit of work, just in case you did want to do it. That way, you're not kind of behind the gun, so to speak, on there. But yeah, like the sooner the better, right? I mean, the more time you give yourself to figure out the processes, the better. That's just my opinion. What do you think would have been the benefit of starting early?
Yeah, I think if you start earlier, then you can develop connections earlier too, I think. Like, even if coaches can't email you back yet or talk to you back, they'll still, like, you'll get into their system, if that makes sense. And it's more so also getting used to the recruiting process because it's definitely different than than anything else. And, you know, just getting used to it and, you know, practicing, like, writing your emails and talking to coaches early on so that when you get to the time where you actually can do it, you're more prepared, you're more ready, you feel more confident.
One of the things that we're starting to tell athletes now is just to take advantage of the levels that you can contact. Like the more practice you get, the better you're going to be. It's just like anything else, just like volleyball, like you spend so much time practicing your athletic endeavors. In this case, it's volleyball, so that you can get to a certain level or get to a space where you can be confident. So it's the same thing with the recruiting process. What were some of the biggest challenges for you?
Yeah, I think in the beginning it was getting schools to contact me back and realizing that even if the school didn't contact me, that they could still be looking at my stuff, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more so of also just taking the time out of my day and like not getting so dejected too when schools that I was like interested in, they weren't contacting me per se.
Yeah. So you talk about tracking in there. Did you use sports recruits for that? Because I mean, that's one of the great features about sports recruits is that you have the ability to track like who's looking at your videos and emails and that type of stuff. Mm-hmm. Was that a big deal to you or no, not really?
I know, yeah. I used sports recruits that sophomore year. It was super helpful. Like, not only did it have like the coaches' emails, like a click away, honestly, like on the program, but also seeing what schools were viewing my profile or looking at my videos. It really helped to also get in contact with more schools too. Even if it was schools that like you weren't originally talking to and they were still viewing your stuff, you could be like, oh my gosh, I have to go contact them now too, because they might be interested in, but then I wasn't interested in them before, but now they're interested in me now. And it was sort of like that kind of thing.
We got onto a text string not long ago with some of the team members from Koa. Mm-hmm. And we're asking that type of question, like, how do you know what is the right school, right? And
yeah.
I think one of the common answers was that interest, right? Like, am I remembering that correctly? Like, it makes you feel like I got a lot of information about feel, like, oh, I had to feel good about the school, that type of thing. And then I was asking the question, well, what makes you, what do you mean feel? What feels good? What does that mean exactly? How does that compute in the recruiting process? Like, it's not, I don't know. I don't think of recruiting as a feeling. I think of it as a logical process. So maybe that's just my mind, But what does that mean? Like, does that play a big role for you guys? Like the feeling or knowing that someone is interested in you?
Yeah, I think it definitely helps to have that interest, because then it's not like a one-sided relationship. It's a two-sided relationship. There's two parts that are going together, and just knowing that they're interested in you too, and it's like both ways. I guess it boosts your ego, but then it also just gets you more like confident in yourself when you're talking to them.
Yeah, it
seems like it helps too. Yeah, sorry, and I guess it helps too. Like, if you're not sure if you want to play in college, maybe if you're in a case where you didn't do a lot your freshman year, like your case, your sophomore year, you're utilizing your resources that you had, like sports recruits, and you see, the coaches watching your videos. For me, I feel like it would be motivating. Is that like to do more, to like send more, to like, okay, if this coach wrote me, then, or this coach watched my video, then what other coaches could I get to watch my video? Like, was that kind of a trigger for you or a mindset when those things started happening?
Yeah, totally. I think even getting into the process too was triggered by a coach reaching out too. So yeah, definitely helps.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was talking to somebody recently and they weren't sure about college. I feel like they wanted to go, but they just saw themselves like a mid-major D1 or, maybe a D2 program, and they had got interest from a really big school. And I was like, they were blown away, and it really changed their mindset. And they started pursuing much larger schools or more successful programs, I guess. I don't know how to phrase it exactly, but I always thought that was interesting. It's good. Like, confidence is such a big part of all the processes that we're we're a part of, you know. It's a little scary, the external feedback piece, like relying on someone else for your confidence.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's true. It does. It means a lot
Yeah.
when somebody expresses interest in us.
Mhm.
So just quickly on the sports recruit stuff, what did you think were the most useful features on there?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, getting to see which coaches were viewing or not which coaches, but which schools were viewing your profile and your videos and stuff. And then just having like super easy access to coaches' emails and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any features that you would have, like, any challenges with it? Or were there features that you would have loved to have seen incorporated?
I think
Sorry,
for the
putting
most
you on
part,
the
I was
spot.
like, I was pretty satisfied with the program. Yeah.
Yeah, overall. Yeah, I think it's for what it is, man. It's, you know, it's not a recruiting service. It's just a platform that puts you in touch. But what a great tool. All right. So for the athletes that are listening in and they want to play at the next level, what's your advice to them?
I would definitely say, like, if you know already, to definitely just start right now on your recruiting process. Like, don't wait. Don't wait till like it's too late, but just start as early as you can. And to be like patient with the process too, though. You know, you're not gonna find the perfect school on the first day or the first week. It's probably gonna take some time.
Might be a couple of years. I don't know.
Yeah, and to just like stick with it though, you know, like enjoy the process. Not every kid gets to go through it and just feel it's just super special. Yeah.
Yeah. I know, man. There's something to be said for doing the work yourself like that. I feel like that's part of the college experience just in itself. You know, like the degrees are important, but just putting yourself through that, getting outside of your comfort zone, you're getting put in a completely different environment, and then you have to really bust your tail to get to the diploma piece. So it's as much character building as it is educational. So I think that there's a certain sense of gratification and confidence that comes with that. So I don't know. I always feel like you guys should be doing the majority of the work when it comes to the recruiting process instead of having somebody else do it. So I'm with you 100% on that. All right. So talk to us about University of Pacific. How did that happen?
Yeah. So I think that they saw me play in a tournament at the Northern Lights qualifier. It was like maybe 2 years ago or so. Yeah. And from there, they were actually one of the schools that I was mass emailing, but I wasn't really keeping track of like which schools I was emailing. They were just one of them.
That seems dangerous, Megan. That seems dangerous.
But to be honest though, like I had never even heard of the school before. Like I've heard of the West Coast Conference, you know, BYU, Pepperdine. Those are all name schools that I've known of, but I didn't know about Pacific until later on, and when I started this process. And then they reached out after the Northern Lights tournament and they emailed me, and it was about this summer going into my junior year. And then from there, I was the one who actually asked for the phone call. I think I was doing a few phone calls before, but then it was the schools who were asking for them. But for Pacific, I specifically remember I was the one who initiated the talk of a phone call. And then I talked to Corey, the recruiting coordinator over there, and he was great. It was like we really connected, I thought. And then they got to see me play in Indianapolis. And then from there, we just kept on talking. I got to visit the campus last November on an official visit. And then after that, I ended up committing February, I believe, after Katie, one of the other coaches, got to see me play at the Hawaii Volleyball Combine. Then I called them up and I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know, you mentioned this and it really kind of stood out to me, and it was the phone call piece. I feel like athletes really get stuck on this. Is it as difficult as it seems? Like, listen, for me, I grew up socially awkward for sure, 100%, and phone calls are terrifying for me. So, I mean, I think a lot of athletes get into that thing where it's terrifying. So, is the process that bad, or do the coaches do a good job of trying to make it easy for you?
Well, this is personally, I think that I can talk to adults pretty well. Like it's not something I'm really worried about. So for me, it was easy. But then I also think that having a set of questions to ask them after And also, I guess, practicing with your parents too. Like if you're unsure, if you're nervous about it before going into the phone call, definitely will help. But yeah, the coaches are great on the phone though, and they know what the right things to say. And everyone, it's not supposed to be perfect. They don't expect the perfect answers every single time. Just like be yourself, and it'll be great. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like the be yourself part because and I also like the fact that you stated for those out there listening, she stated that she made the first phone call. So kudos to you for not being afraid to do that. I think some athletes at your, where you were in the process, they get a little like torn, like I don't know if I should pick up the phone and call them. And I'm like, hey, go for it. If it's a place you have a desire to play at, don't hesitate to pick up the phone. And like you said, it may not be perfect, but be yourself and get through the conversation and see where it goes from there. So that's awesome. And I think that's just it's great for young athletes out there that will be listening and watching to hear. So that's good stuff. I appreciate you sharing. And you do have some really good coaches over there. I got to meet Coach Katie at the Combine, super awesome coach. So I think you'll enjoy your time over there really well. So that's awesome.
Yeah, so that's all. I think we'll wrap it up on the recruiting stuff. I think the only other question I have for you regarding college is what are you looking forward to most? Either like just from a college experience as a whole or from an athletic perspective?
Honestly, like everything.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, the volleyball, definitely like meeting new people and playing at such like a high level and just being away from home too, like having that experience. And yeah, learning more about myself.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say, Megan? I can't wait to get out of my house.
Exactly, Coach.
Now the question is, does mom, dad, and brother all feel the same way? Like, God, we cannot wait for her to get out of here.
Oh, no, they're gonna miss me so much.
So, all right, this is a little personal, but you got your own bedroom?
I do, yeah.
At the house. So when that thing turns into an office in October of next year. You're gonna know exactly where you stand in the hierarchy of the family, based on what happens to your bedroom once you leave.
That's awesome.
There might be a couch like this, a pull out / bed in there. Too funny, man. Too funny. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I have a feeling you're gonna make a great impact on the program over there, and I'm really looking forward to following your career. So. You only get to do that once, man. I mean, I guess that could be said of life in general, but college experience, it's difficult, but it's going to be worth it 100%. So enjoy the ride. All right, kiddo. We're into the rapid fire section. This is the last thing we do. I got some questions kind of posted up here. I'm going to kind of read through them. I think Coach Gino might throw some curveballs at you. I'm just going to throw the fastballs, and then he's going to throw the curveballs at you. Okay? All right. So doesn't have to be a great length. Just first thing comes off the top of your head. 2 pieces of advice for volleyball peers that are looking to play at the next level.
Yeah, I think like I said earlier, to just be patient with the process. Unless you're like the best player in your state, you're not going to get like recognition early on. Just to be patient with it. And then also use your resources. If you have a recruiting platform, definitely use it. And like if you're serious about going to the next level too, I think that it's worth investing into one too. And yeah.
Great advice. All right. What are 1 to 2 attributes that you appreciate most about teammates?
I would say competitiveness. Yeah, just being super competitive. And I think on top, and then I guess kind of associating with competitiveness, also confidence and like commitment too. Because you can't really have competitive players if you're not also committed and confident.
Yeah, well, you can have them, but it doesn't jive.
Yeah.
You can't be super competitive and trying to hold people accountable if you're not committed to the process. I like it. All right. Besides mom and dad, who has had the biggest influence or impact on your life?
I'd say probably my cousin Sydney. She's 2 years older than me right now, so she's a sophomore at SDSU. And she's practically like my older sister, though. You know, she was the one who got me into volleyball, and I look up to her in like every way. Yeah.
Who's your favorite player of all time?
That's a tough one. I grew up like around UH volleyball, so pretty much anyone who's come in and out of the program I've looked up to. I guess in more recent years, it'd be Joe Worsley, the setter who graduated 2 years ago, I believe. UH,
Right
yeah,
on. Yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
stud. And then what's your greatest experience as a volleyball player? Like what's been one of the best experiences you've had?
I think for school volleyball, playing in lower gym with like Raider Nation on the side of us and like all like my teachers and my friends and my classmates, that's like unreal. It's unreal.
Yes,
Yeah.
that Raider Nation is definitely next level.
Oh yeah.
I love watching those guys in action. They're like a whole nother team out there. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it's so amazing. Just go, and it doesn't matter. Honestly, it doesn't matter which of the schools that you go to. When the I call it the big three, Punahou, Kamehameha, Iolani, when they play each other, even more so if something is on the line, those matches get really nuts. Like the energy inside the gym is crazy. Personally, I like Iolani's band when they show up.
Oh yeah.
I always loved it. I always
too.
thought that was a great energy. But yeah, great experience playing in front of fans who get it and love it.
Mm-hmm.
So, awesome. Gino, what you got? You got any curveballs for? Those are the fastballs.
Yeah, I kind of like to ask this question just from from an older perspective. You guys as upperclassmen, tell me about some names out there that are some upcoming talents for us to watch around Hawaii. Doesn't have to be libero or DS, but some names of some athletes that you think are going to be something special, in your mind.
Yeah, I think definitely Senna Roberts Navarro. She goes to Iolani right now. She's a sophomore this year. And then she really helped our team last year. Coming in as a freshman, she starred and she was amazing. I know she's going to do great things. She's like both indoor and on the beach. Fantastic player. And then I would say McKenna Tong from Lab School. I played with her for club and school back in intermediate. And yeah, she's great. Super athletic. And then I also say Coach Gino, your daughter, Nene Hawkins, she's a really solid player and her work ethic is insane and she's going to do big things.
All right. Yeah, I definitely agree. Like I love watching Center play. She's amazing. She's one of those players that'll keep you on your toes because she's so good at the beach game that I just think like it's really hard to defend her. So that's good there. I had the pleasure of coaching McKenna. And she's solid. She's one of those kind of homegrown Koa athletes that's going to do a lot of special things. And then I see mine every day. So hopefully she could just follow along the footsteps of solid players like yourself that she sees in the gym that she can look up to. So definitely appreciate things like that. So that's awesome. But yeah, other than that, I'm good. I love the T-shirt. Orange is my favorite color. So
Hey!
yeah. So I saw the logo there, Pacific. So I'm gonna need me and Coach Lee are gonna need one of those T-shirts so we can represent you in the upcoming years. But yeah, this is this is amazing. This is our first year coming into Koa, and we're excited to be there. And it was a great opportunity to meet your dad and talk more with him, and then get to experience more time with you and see what type of player, type of person you are. And this session even better. I thought it was a awesome session so far. So viewers are listening. Subscribe to us, iTunes, ProspectsHI podcast, Spotify, YouTube. Check us out. It's just it's good stuff, But that's the only curveball I had. Great answer. Coach, wrap us up. Meg, anything else? Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, morning, whenever you're listening. I like to listen to these things on the way to work. So, I'm excited.
What do you got after this, Meg? You got workout or no?
Yeah, like on the side. My dad bought like a lot of he kind of went crazy over quarantine and got a bunch of workout equipment, you know. But it's awesome though. It's great. It's great.
So Gino, now you know where all the workout equipment went.
Yes, I do. And I'm also gonna ask your dad to see if he wants to donate that some sale prices when you leave. So if he turns that bedroom into an office, I'm sure he would love to get rid of some of that extra gear just sitting around the house. You know, that's awesome.
Too funny, man. Well, awesome, Meg. I really appreciate you taking some time and chatting with us, letting people get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
All right, one last one. You know how I work. It's never the last. It's always two after I say it's last. That's how we get to go. Though I want nominate somebody. Who would you nominate
For
to
what?
do a podcast?
No. Oh. I'll say
That
Becca
is the
Dakota.
curveball.
Sakota.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to her. We'll make it happen. I'll let her know that you're the reason.
Oh yeah, tell her.
She will hear that. She will hear this.
Well, awesome, man. Thanks again for spending time with us. It's always great talking with you. And no doubt we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, Mike, take care.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.